And what's going on, everybody? Tyler Carey here from your 3 News digital team, and I am joined by the voice of the Cleveland sports fan. That is our own Jay Crawford, fresh off his latest duties on what's new. Jay, we are talking Super Bowl, and once again, the Cleveland Browns are not in said Super Bowl, but the teams that are, or the players that are, if you want to get really specific, just shows the world once again why it is so tough to be a Cleveland sports fan.
Yeah, it's bad enough that we didn't make another Super Bowl. We're now 0 for 56, and there's only 32 teams. So if you do the law of averages, in 64 years, every team should go every 32 years. Obviously, there's 16 teams in your conference, so the odds are 1 in 16, right? Well, everybody is cycled through, but the Cleveland Browns in the AFC. It's pretty pathetic, really, but it is what it is. And we have to watch another Super Bowl without our football team in it. And what's more painful than anything is the fact that the LA Rams are in there with Odell Beckham Jr., a guy whose career looked like it flamed out in Cleveland. And he's obviously had an incredible rebirth with the Rams, proving to be the same receiver that the Giants were able to get out of him. For some reason, it just didn't work here. And then on the other side, you've got the Cincinnati Bengals, a team the Browns whacked handily in Cincinnati earlier this year when both teams were at full strength, and our obvious AFC North and Ohio rivals. So it's like my tweet from earlier was as if we hadn't done enough to tick off the football gods. Now we have to watch the Bengals and Beckham in the Super Bowl. Not cool at all.
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and I got to say, I could not favorite and retweet and like your words fast enough when I saw them yesterday. Just when you go through these matchups, and look, I get it. It's more than just the Browns in the NFL, and you got to think beyond that. But just from our little bubble of Cleveland, I don't think I could have imagined a worse Super Bowl matchup other than maybe the Rams and the Steelers, or if the Ravens had made it. Because I'll go back to what our own Mike Polk Jr. said last week. No, we don't despise the Bengals in the way that we do those other teams. Heck, I know a lot of people in my family who hate Denver a lot more than they hate Cincinnati. But I think just looking at that yesterday and seeing this run that Joe Burrow and those guys have been on, you just look at that and go, the Bengals? Really? Like the same team that we've been deriding as the Bungles for all these years? And you almost kind of think that was supposed to be us. This was supposed to be what we all thought the Browns would do. And then, of course, on the other side, the whole OBJ fiasco, which there's so many angles we can get into with that. But it really just seems like, and you've said this, the more the sports gods can just pile on, they're going to do it. And that's what we're going to get in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't think, I could be wrong. The Bengals lost the first 2 Super Bowls they were in. I think they're going to lose this one too. They lost the first 2 they were into the 49ers, so it would be another California team. The Rams have the home field advantage. That's always a benefit, even though the tickets
home field.
Yeah.
We saw that yesterday.
They didn't even have the home field advantage yesterday against San Francisco,
No.
But I think it'll be a pro Rams crowd for the Super Bowl. Look, this is when every year at the beginning of the year, the NFL dreams up its dream Super Bowl scenarios. And this year, I think among them were a Chargers-Rams Super Bowl in Los Angeles. And look, that was entirely possible. I mean, the Chargers self-imploded at the end of the year. You know, if they don't call that timeout in the last game of the regular season against the Raiders, it's almost a lock at that point that the Raiders are going to take a knee, settle for a tie, and both teams would have made the playoffs. And who knows what happens if the Chargers get in. Look, right. The Chargers are every bit as good and as explosive as the Bengals, and here the Bengals are. So I think at the beginning of the season, when they're drafting their dream scenarios, they had an LA Super Bowl in LA. And second to that, they probably had a Tampa Bay, New England Super Bowl, which would have been a Bill versus Brady. And I think in some variation, they had a Rams or a Chargers making the Super Bowl so they could play an LA Super Bowl with an LA team. And, you know, one of those dream scenarios have worked out for the league. And again, I'll be shocked if the Rams don't win. I think, you know, they've already been installed as an early favorite. I think the betting money will also go their way. So I think they'll be a decisive favorite at kickoff. And I think they're probably going to win Super Bowl 56. But what's crazy for me to think about is if you would have asked, Tyler, 1,000 NFL fans 2 years ago, an Ohio team is going to play in Super Bowl 56, who you got? I bet 995 of them would have said, "Oh, the Browns. They're on the come. They've got Baker. They're coming off that great year where they made the playoffs last year and they beat Pittsburgh." And I think the vast majority of your NFL fans would have said, "Ohio team in the Super Bowl, give me the Browns." And not only did it not work out that way, it's the Bengals. And, it's a team that when they were on the bottom end of the talent cycle and had that number one pick, there was a guy sitting there like Joe Burrow, who everybody agreed was the can't miss. When it was our turn to do that, we took the wrong guy. You know, we could have taken Josh Allen. We took Baker Mayfield, and the early results are in. And it looks like that was the wrong pick for sure. So there's still time for Baker to turn it around. I think he will. I think next year he's going to have a great year. But in the meantime, 2 weeks from now in LA, we've got to sit through that Beckham and Bengals Super Bowl, and it will just be more salt into our wounds.
And we'll all be watching, of course, because we're just gluttons for punishment at this point.
Yeah, we can't not watch.
It's also on our network, so I encourage everyone to watch. Just toe the company line there. But let me ask you this, because I was debating this yesterday with my father. Now my dad, Jeff, for years, used to pick who he felt would win the Super Bowl, and there may or may not have been some sort of wagers on that. I'm not going to confirm or deny that, but
right.
He used to pick based on, which outcome would be worse for the Browns. And this was years ago. Like, okay, Belichick's in the Super Bowl after we fired him. Oh, I'll bet them. I'll take them. Modell's in the Super Bowl. I'll take them. Elway's bet. Jay, he picked the Broncos to beat Green Bay in that great Super Bowl years ago. It was a massive upset. They did it. And my dad was happy because he got his pick right. And then there's Elway with that grin up on the stage, and Pat Bowlen, God rest his soul, "This one's for John." And my dad about vomited right there where he was standing. So I got to ask you, with both of these less than desirable options, which is harder to stomach if you're a Browns fan, the winner of this game?
For me, it's the Bengals. I mean, I don't harbor any resentment towards Odell Beckham Jr. He clearly wasn't the problem, and he's been vindicated because
even with the latest Von Miller stuff saying don't come to Cleveland, all that.
That's a Von Miller thing. That's not an OBJ thing. I mean, OBJ told him he spoke from the heart. He told him what his experience was. And look, I mean, OBJ is clearly comes with a lot of baggage. He had his issues in New York. He had his issues in Cleveland. And I'm willing to bet if he stays in LA long enough, he'll have his issues in Los Angeles. Look, that's a great team now, but they have sold their soul to the devil. And it's a win now scenario with these Rams. 3 years from now, they're not going to be a pretty a ball club. That's going to be a nasty team. They don't have a first round pick, I think, for another 4 drafts. So it's going to be a long stretch, I think, between. It's not going to be like it's a dynasty. You know, this team was built with the Miller trade and the OBJ thing. This was built to win now, and they've made it this far. And, I think if you asked 100 Browns fans, would you go all in on the chance to win a Super Bowl? They'd say, yeah, let's do it. Even if it means wrecking the team in the short term afterwards, you would do it. I tweeted something later today or earlier today about, this sort of curse of Art Modell, which I've long argued is a real thing. He fired Paul Brown, who, of course, went on to form the Cincinnati Bengals, a franchise that has gone to 3 Super Bowls now. He fired Bill Belichick, who, of course, went on to the New England Patriots and has won 6 Super Bowls since Modell fired him and played in 9. And, of course, he moved the team after the 95 season to Baltimore, which has played in 2 Super Bowls and won 2. So if you just go off of the Modell jinx, the Belichick, Ravens, and Paul Brown gimmick, those 3 franchises have teamed up to play in 14 Super Bowls.
Yep.
And they have won 8. So in the meantime, the Browns haven't sniffed one.
No.
So, anybody that wonders, is the curse of Art Modell a real thing? I think you just have to look at those 3 situations to realize that it is. And if that's why we're paying for, his transgressions in the past, I'm going to drop to bended knee and to appeal to the football gods. I am sorry.
Oh, no.
I am sorry, football gods, for the transgressions of our past owner. Please, football gods, if you have a shred, just a shred of sympathy, please remove this curse and put our Cleveland Browns in a Super Bowl soon, because I'm running out of time. I'm not above dropping to bended knee, Tyler, and asking that.
I don't think you're alone in that either. And by the way, that very, very heartfelt declaration you just made, to me, should be the biggest argument against Art Modell ever getting into the Hall of Fame. Anyway, one more question, and you touched on this a little bit. The Browns have not sniffed a Super Bowl. You're right. Even last year, losing in a divisional round, really not that close to a Super Bowl. This was a very, very disappointing and frustrating year, 8-9. Yes, not as bad as 0-16, but considering what the expectations were, not what we wanted. But no. You and I were talking about this earlier. They're really not that far away. Now, you've got to get it right. You got to make a couple of decisions that you've got to make sure everything is in line. But this is a team that beat up the Bengals this year when both teams were at full strength. Now, that was a long time ago. I feel like almost we're looking at 2 different teams right now. But you feel like if they can just, figure out the quarterback situation, coaching gets back in line, maybe a few other positions, the receiving corps, this is a team that can be back in contention. But like we said, they got to make sure they hit on some of these picks, and they've got to figure out if Baker Mayfield is the guy or not.
Well, I don't think they have a choice on the Baker Mayfield issue. He's their guy. I mean, this is the bed they've made, and they're in it for at least the next year.
Yep. And
I'm okay with that. I'm always about how good can a team be and how bad can a team be. And we typically find that out in the course of 17 games. My problem with this Browns team wasn't the talent. The talent's there. Just take a look. We should have beaten Green Bay on Christmas Day in their place in a meaningful game.
Yep.
We had the Raiders on the ropes. We should have beaten the Raiders. These are playoff teams.
With a third-string quarterback.
We punked the Bengals in their place, full health. We beat them the second time we played them. We've beaten the Ravens. We've beaten good football teams. Our problem is we can't consistently put our best effort on the field. That, to me, is a coaching issue. What we saw in the AFC Championship game between the Chiefs and the Bengals was Andy Reid got out-coached. And you will not hear me say that often.
No.
There's probably, you can count on both hands how many times I feel he's been out-coached, perhaps in his entire career. He is the gold standard of coaches, but Zach out-coached him on Sunday.
Absolutely.
He just did. He made the halftime adjustments, and he beat a very good football team in their place for a trip to the Super Bowl after doing the same thing to them in Cincinnati at the end of the regular season. So we have to be able to find our top gear and stay there. You can't mail in clunkers like the Browns continually have done. You can't do that. And that's a coaching problem. And I understand that, Kevin Stefanski was coach of the year in 2020. The tarnish of that trophy is gone. It's now up to the coaching staff. I think the front office will win the offseason again. I do. They won last offseason. They'll draft a wide receiver, hopefully one of the 2 Ohio State kids. They'll get another wide receiver in here, probably in free agency. We need a kicker. We saw yesterday. You think the Bengals regret drafting a kicker last year? I don't. You got to have a good, reliable kicker. You can't hold your breath with kicks, and we have been. No. You need a good kicker. You need another good wide receiver, and probably 2. The wide receivers or the running backs were fine. The line were fine. I'm predicting that Baker is going to have a huge bounce back year next year. I am chalking up 80% of his bad play last year to physical injuries. I'm giving the other 20% to an injured psyche from someone who is continually trying to outperform what his body told him he was able to do. Stop trying to play hero ball. That's what we saw on Sunday from Garoppolo. He tried to play hero ball. That team isn't built for a hero quarterback.
Nope.
Nor are the Browns. You don't have to be Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes in this offense. Manage the game, make key throws on third downs when you need to. But you don't have to throw it 35 times for 300 yards a game. You've got Chubb. You've got Hunt. You've got a solid running game and a great offensive line. Erase hero ball from your mentality. And thin skin and rabbit ears is a horrible combination. Leather your skin. You're a quarterback of an NFL franchise. There's 32 of them. Who cares what a writer at Cleveland.com says about you? Who cares what Joe in Parma is saying on the radio shows about you? Who cares? They would give years off their life to be in your shoes. You are a quarterback of an NFL franchise. Start acting like one. Thin skin and rabbit ears will get you a one-way ticket out of the league in no time. Stop reading the papers. Stop listening to us. We don't matter. The only thing that matters is what the 52 other guys in that room think of you and the head coaching staff. If you win their respect and trust, that's all that matters late in football games. Don't try to impress Joe from Parma with a fourth quarter throw that you have no chance of completing. If all those things line up, I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl next year, but I'm saying, why not us? Why not us? No one thought the Bengals were going there this year, and here they are.
Well, let's see. We got a little over 7 months to figure that all out, but in a little under 2 weeks, we will all sit and watch the Super Bowl and take our medicine like good Browns fans do each and every year. Jay, as always, True. Wonderful job. You speak the truth, my friend. Thank you so much. And thank you all for watching us tonight or today, whenever you happen to be watching this. As always, stay tuned for all of your Browns coverage and analysis today and all off season on 3 News and WKYC.com. For the incomparable Jay Crawford, I'm Tyler Carey. Thank you so much and have a good day, everybody.